Mr. President.
Senator Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent the quorum call be suspended.
Without objection.
Thank you. Mr. President, we've been debating the Save America Act for 7 days now. And what's been made clear in this debate is how out of touch Democrats are with most Americans. Polls show that the common sense policies in the Save America Act have support from the American people. But Democrats have repeatedly demonstrated that they don't share the American people's interest in securing our elections. And despite Americans' concerns, Democrats continue to embrace transgender ideology that allows men to compete in women's sports and children to undergo irreversible, life-altering gender transition procedures. Mr. President, at the start of this debate, the Democrat leader had the audacity to say that the Save America Act is a, quote, radical bill. Radical, that's what he said. Well, Mr. President, what's radical, I would say, about ensuring that only American citizens are voting in American elections? What's radical about asking voters for a photo ID? And Mr. President, I don't know what world Democrats are living in where keeping biological men out of women's sports is a radical proposition. What's radical is men lining up alongside women at the starting line and winning medals and trophies meant for women. What's radical is telling female athletes that they have to share a locker room with a biological male. That's radical, Mr. President. And perhaps what's most radical about Democrats' position is that they seem to have no problem with gender transition procedures for minors. Democrats are more than happy to let transgender ideology reign, even when there's little to no evidence to support gender transition procedures for minors and increasing amounts of scientific evidence about the harms of these procedures for children. But Democrats ignore the science. They ignore the fact that multiple European nations that have looked at the science have reined in gender transition procedures for minors. They ignore the stories of Americans who underwent irreversible procedures as minors and have long lived to regret it. So, Mr. President, the Save America Act is not radical. Radically common sense, maybe. So common sense, in fact, that only congressional Democrats could oppose it. Mr. President, as debate continues on the Save America Act, Republicans are also working to advance two nominees for important posts in the Trump administration. One of those is Colin McDonald, whom President Trump has nominated to lead the new National Fraud Enforcement Division at the Department of Justice. Mr. President, fraud is a serious issue. Last year, it became clear that widespread fraud had taken root in the state of Minnesota. Prosecutors are working through cases and indictments related to at least $9 billion in fraud impacting 14 federally funded programs in that state alone. And Minnesota is just the tip of the iceberg. The Government Accountability Office estimates that as much as $500 billion in federal funds is lost each year to fraud. Now, needless to say, Mr. McDonald has his work cut out for him, and he's well suited to the challenge. Colin McDonald is a career federal prosecutor, which means for his entire career, he has had only one client, and that's the American people. Until coming to Washington to work at the Department of Justice last year, Mr. McDonald spent 10 years as an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of California. In that position, he spent a considerable amount of time trying cases in federal court, including cases dealing with fraud, money laundering, and public corruption. And his work has received notable praise. During one case in the 9th District, the judge actually interrupted proceedings to praise Mr. McDonald. None other than Judge Harry Pregerson, a notably progressive judge, said of Mr. McDonald, and I quote, "I want to commend you on your candor, your openness, and your honesty with the court," end quote. Mr. President, Colin McDonald is well suited to provide justice for American taxpayers in this role, and I look forward to confirming him swiftly so he can get to work. Mr. President, the other nominee that we'll be confirming this week is somebody we all know well, our colleague Markwayne Mullin. President Trump has nominated Markwayne to be the Secretary of Homeland Security. It's a tough assignment, made all the more challenging right now by Democrats having shut down DHS for 5 weeks. We all know that Markwayne isn't afraid of a challenge. Far from it. As a young man, Markwayne left college to take over his family plumbing business. He grew that small enterprise into a large and successful business in the state of Oklahoma. Just a few weeks after being elected to the House, when the Oklahoma delegation was touring storm damage, Markwayne cut away from the other congressmen and climbed through debris to try to shut off water shooting through the wreckage. See a problem? Take action to solve it. That's Markwayne. It's a big part of what drew him to public service. Mr. President, I think all of us are familiar with Markwayne Mullin's seemingly unlimited supply of energy. His workout class in the House gym is the stuff of legend. In the halls, you can find him bouncing a little pink ball to get out some of his energy. And that energy doesn't come from coffee. Markwayne does it all on decaf. No, Mr. President, Markwayne's energy is all him. But his strength, he'll tell you, isn't his own. Markwayne's strength comes from his wife and childhood sweetheart, Christy, and his rock-solid faith in God, both of which have made him an outstanding public servant and, most importantly, a loving father to their 6 children. Mr. President, heading up the Department of Homeland Security is a serious job. And I'm proud to cast a vote for Markwayne Mullin, knowing with confidence that he is up to the work and to the task. I know how much I've depended on Markwayne as a colleague and friend during his 3 years here in the United States Senate. And I'm profoundly sorry to lose him. But the Senate's loss is the Department of Homeland Security's gain. I want to thank Markwayne for his service here in the Senate and wish him the very best as he continues to serve our country at DHS. And I hope whoever gets assigned to his security detail is ready to keep up. Mr. President, I yield the floor, and I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Officer Brooks.